As I continued my walk along the Camino through the villages of Castrojeriz, Romista, and other small hamlets, I noticed more than the landscape. I saw myself in the faces and stories of fellow pilgrims, accommodation hosts, and ordinary people like you and me. But each encounter became a mirror, revealing lessons, patterns, and moments of quiet recognition. Welcome to Soul Travel, a journey through the places that shape the soul. I'm Marilyn, and together we'll explore how travel, history, and planetary energies intertwine, revealing the deeper stories within each destination. Crossing the vast open plains of the Meseta, the rhythm of one step after another becomes its own quiet teacher. Burgos had slipped behind me, and ahead lay an expanse of wheat fields, dust, and sky. There was little to distract the mind, only the sound of my footsteps, the distant sound of a working sheepdog, and the occasional pilgrims whose brief greeting reminded me that none of us are ever entirely alone. Villages appeared only now and then, some slowly fading, others, like Hontanas, tucked so neatly into the landscape that you don't even see it until you're standing in it. With little to occupy the senses, silence becomes its own presence, and a simple buen camino took on an unexpected meaning, and it was often through others that you began to see yourself more clearly. As the path stretched towards Castrojeriz, its ruined castle rises long before the town itself. Built across medieval and Roman periods, it once guarded a vulnerable stretch of the way. And walking into town brought another reminder of kindness. Pilgrims sharing helpful tips, hospitable locals, and the welcome sight of my transferred backpack waiting in a traditional home after a long, hot day. Castrojeriz invited me to wander its quiet lanes, a mixture of semi-ruined corners and the lingering spirit of a town that once housed 8 pilgrim hospitals. The 12th century church of Our Lady of the Apple Tree still reflects the long history of comfort that was sought here. And walking beside the old walls, narrow stone tunnels appear, once formerly escape routes into the enclosed walls and hidden passages. Sitting near one of these entrances, I imagine generations of pilgrims seeking safety within these walls before heading across the Alto de Mostelares. So it was the following morning and reaching the summit just as the sun rose across the Meseta that filled the moment with quiet awe. Below lay Tierra de Campos, the land of fields, a landscape stripped back to sky and land, a place that feels almost inhospitable in its simplicity. And it was here the planetary energies felt especially present. A Mercury line runs right through this part of the Camino, offering communication, connection, and meaning in even the smallest encounters. Saturn continued to bring practice and endurance, and the moon softened solitude and deepened intuition. Chiron gently stirred old wounds, yet offered space for healing. And Jupiter brought its generous touch of blessings, insights, and the simple acts of kindness. This wide open plain becomes a teacher, speaking in its own way if you're willing to listen. Later, a welcome change of scenery appeared along the tree-lined Canal de Castella, built in the mid-1700s to distribute grain. Today, it offered shade, irrigation, and a quiet afternoon for a lone fisherman. Then crossing the lock gates into Fromista, I discovered my booked accommodation was unexpectedly unavailable due to an injured pilgrim, needing to stay longer. But without hesitation, the host provided an alternative, peaceful 2-bedroom home with a private courtyard and a bath. Again, the Camino's signature appeared. And as I settled in, an unusual sound drew me outside, a shepherd guiding his flock through a back lane. Rural life unfolded effortlessly, a small moment that somehow shifted something inside, and a reminder that clarity often comes quietly. Fromista once was a thriving medieval town and now has fewer than 900 residents. Its name comes from fromenstum, meaning wheat, and a nod to its Roman roots. And the Romaniscus Church of St. Martin, beautifully restored, that has welcomed pilgrims since the 11th century. That evening, I shared a meal with a couple who first introduced me to Jacobins. Being able to thank them felt like closing a small, meaningful circle that helped shape my journey. The next morning, gratitude guided the path through sunflower fields waiting to greet the sun before crossing the Rio Ucieza, where a local man named Pepe gives each pilgrim a sweet treat and signs their passport for walking the original path. A beautiful small gesture, yet it carries the spirit of the way. Further on, Villa La Gazia di Siglia appeared with a striking church of Saint Maria la Blanca, once tied to the Knights Templar and celebrated in the medieval songs of King Arthur X. Its blend of Romanesque and Gothic design reflects both its devotion and defiance. Then reaching the town of Carrion de los Condes, my room overlooked the 12th century church of Santa Maria del Camino. The town itself carries layered medieval paths of battles, reconquests, and complexity that blends naturally with the present-day charm. Crossing the Rio Granion the next morning, the path returned to simplicity, with open plains, no shade, no fountains, and only the steady rhythm of my footsteps. And after nearly 18 kilometers, Calzadella de la Guizar appeared, little more than a hamlet built along the way. My accommodation here came with a surprisingly modern lift, an unexpected contemporary feature against the ancient landscape. And taking a short wander revealed the quiet church of San Martin de Torres, with its centuries-old ties to the Order of Santiago. Calzadella rests along the Roman Via Aquatina and once hosted a pilgrim hospital. Now it offers rest, silence, and exactly what a weary pilgrim needed. As it was here in the stillness that I felt something shift again. A clearer sense of self reflected in the strangers met along the way, in the quiet space to breathe and reflect. The Camino, much like life itself, isn't measured in distance, it's measured in meaning, in moments that help us recognize parts of ourselves that we may have forgotten. To explore more of the history and the planetary placements woven into this journey, you can read a full blog post at asoulawakening.com/soul travel. You can also learn more about the offers and services I provide at asoulawakening.com. Tomorrow marks the halfway point along the way, in the town of Shahagan, a subtle shift in pace and a new chapter in the journey ahead. Buen Camino. Everyday moments, celestial threads. The reflection begins. Awakening awareness. An invitation to continue. The journey orientation. 14 days, 14 reflections delivered straight to your inbox. A gentle nudge towards your own path of self-discovery, step by step with astrology as your compass, guiding you into your own story. Think of it as the first step before your greater journey begins. Discover more at asoulawakening.com.